Morning. Awesome opportunity this week to get back to work. I think this weekend was a big step forward for us in regards to stacking a win. And I think we saw a lot of things that we like and encouraged by in regards to our mindset and our identity and especially working through things that weren't perfect. We liked the fact that our guys played their tail off. You could see they competed. I thought they played really, really hard throughout that game, especially defensively, but I think offensively getting through the struggles of some things not going, the imperfectness of some of the stuff we started with and overcoming that. There was a lot of good stuff. I like the way that we ran the football as the game moved forward. I like the explosive play battle that we worked through on both sides. We overcame some stuff we talked about, the execution on offense. And then I think the big thing there is we overcame putting the defense in some sudden change positions 5 of 5 times, overcame some really good stuff. Then we finished the game. Offensively ran the football well, only gave up 1 sack. We are plus 10 on middle 8 scoring in that second, and in the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half, which is a big thing that we try to get talked through with our offense. We had 11 minutes of possession in that third quarter in the second half, and controlled the game in that second half, which was really nice to see. The response after the first drive, the first fumble, and going down the next series and going down for a touchdown showed some resilience on offense. There was a 4-minute execution that showed up, different than the week before, which we talked about, the growth in regards to understand that football piece of it. And then a 2-minute drive before half with points, which again is just, those are all things we check as coaches and as a program to make sure that we're finding things that we understand how we can build on and get better at and execute. 2 takeaways on defense and a 4th down stop is huge. Stopping the run, limiting the quarterback's legs, the sudden change, the tackling, the 3rd down possession there, 3rd down game, critical situations for them versus them, 13 of 15, I think, which was just outstanding. I think there's a lot of good stuff there. Stuff we can fix. Obviously, we got to take care of the football. We can't turn the ball over and think that you're going to propel yourself into many victories when you turn it over that way. And we overcame that, and it was really good to see to get through that. I think there's a lot of little things we can fix. Communication-wise, there's some technique and some separation things that we're going to continue to emphasize, and some man coverage looks. Some detail and focus on some things, and then there was 5 penalties that killed drives for us offensively. So it was not our best day, and we've got to improve that to beat a good football team. But I think that there's a lot of good stuff that we saw. There's some good things on special teams, some things we can fix on special teams. But to come out on a win and to stack it up and to get back-to-back consecutive wins with the football program is something that's big for us and big for our culture. And now we got another big week versus a top 25 opponent, another one on a Friday night on a short week, and so we got to roll.
Coach, talk about the defense. 3 turnovers in the first quarter, and you hold them to 3 points for the game, points off turnovers. How did that really set the tone for the rest of the game and what you wanted to do as far as dominating the line of scrimmage and running the ball?
It did. They did a fantastic job at taking the ball away. They did a fantastic job of being put in those sudden change situations with their backs against the wall and not flinching and taking those guys to a spot there that was in a tough position and being able to battle through it, man, I think was huge. It said a lot about our team, our identity, the sidelines, our culture, to be able to go out there and do that. And then I think we responded. Our offensive responded the same way. It was, they were doing their turn. It was our turn to get back in it, and we made some corrections, did some things that based on what they were doing and not giving us some big plays and taking away kind of our shots and really daring us to run the football over and over and over and to see if we'd do it. And I think we did a nice job. So, yeah, it was big for the defense to do that at that time for sure.
I think earlier in the year we saw some games where the defense may have played well for a half or 3 quarters, only to not be able to get those stops down the stretch. What do you think is the difference between then and the last 2 weeks when you guys have defended pretty well all the way through the finish line?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I think that it goes back to, and those points of the season we talked in here, we talked at some point, or we've talked as a team where we said those moments in those games will build and be great seeds for later in the future. Well, we're here now, and you saw some of that come to life this weekend where they played a complete game, where they played a whole game. They put things together the last 2 weeks a lot better. You're seeing consistency is what we talked about early in the season, more consistency overall. And I think that those flashes back, all those little pieces, we've really, really been selfish about in regards to highlighting those at that time. So when you got to this point now, you can feed back on those. And I think we're seeing that a little bit everywhere. Defensively, it started early with the goal line stands and the short yardage and not letting guys run the football. Well, that's continued to show up. that's something that has become real consistent with our team, and now they're building on that, and it's really good to see defensively the way they're playing and gelling together.
This is another ranked opponent, right? You saw 3 ranked teams earlier this year plus UTSA. What do you think, now that the season's almost over, what do you feel like the team learned from playing teams of that caliber earlier in the year that has helped them now at this point?
You know, I think that playing those teams early on, we knew the test in that is a program where we're at is just the toughness and resiliency you've got to have. Obviously, that's bit us in the butt a little bit with the depth and the injuries, but overall, I think that when you go against those good teams, you see how fragile winning is and where the edge can be made. And the examples I'm using last night or in the other night's game of how those can't happen to beat a really good football team, we've got those examples before. And this week's a great example of those things that can't happen because this is a really, really good football team coming in here. And it'd be hard to overcome those things. You can't have those versus ranked opponents, guys with that much experience, and to think they're going to be that easy to overcome. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it just makes it really hard. And so having played those other teams and pull back and say, okay, where did the turnovers bite? Where did the drop balls hurt us? Where did the third down conversions hurt us? Where did the third and longs? Where did the sacks? Those things that bite you against good opponents. And a couple of those are one-score games, right? I mean, that end up being maybe the difference. And so to pull those back out and to make sure we reference those over and over and over, it will continue to be something we've got to educate ourselves on and see that can be the difference. And so this is another one of those. We've got to play really, really good football.
Coach, you referenced it earlier in your opening statement, first 4, middle 8, last 4. Can you talk about that philosophy a little bit?
Yeah, it's one of the things we look at. Middle 8 scoring is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. And there's a little bit of how can you finish a first half in either a 2-minute or 4-minute drill, whether you're in offense or defense, because you can go into halftime with some momentum. And then how can you come out in those first 4 minutes, either on offense or defense, and have made changes and not start slow. And there's some analytics in there a little bit. It's not the telltale of a win or loss, but it's a good tell of how a football team can come and can end a half and start a half. And to be 10-0 in those middle 8, they're significant. And to finish on a 2-minute drive and not have, we wanted a touchdown, obviously right there where we were at, so close, and to have 3 points is still good, and to come out and drive down the field and score on the first possession is a big deal. It's one of the things we talk about a lot, starting fast and understand how to finish. That's kind of the premise.
Charles coming off of 38 carries and Friday game, one less a day. Are you doing anything this week to pitch count in practice, anything like that, or is it just full speed?
Yeah, no, I mean we're gonna make sure we guys like that have games like that. We use our GPS system a lot to gauge it. His catapult was the catapult system was candidly something we probably have never seen. I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen some of the output that came out of that. He was a machine. It was amazing. I think he hit 22 miles an hour at one point on one of those runs, which is the fastest we've had on this football team. And so he was flying. But he felt good. I think it says a lot. I may have said it at the end of the game, but I think the thing that also we lean into that is how big an off-season training and player development program can be for our guys late in a game. We're in the 9th game of the season, 10th game of the season now. You're in late November, and you're playing like that. It says a lot about Charles, but it also we have to look back and globally and go, okay, Sunday big power squats, or the way that we're doing our nutrition, our hydration, the way that we're monitoring our guys. I mean, says to us, maybe we're making sure we're up to date and we're using that science to the best of our advantage because our guys looked fresh. They've looked fresh late in games. They've played hard late in games, and that I think that seeing Charles run that way and those other things stick out was huge. And we kept feeding him. And we got to finish with them the right way.
You mentioned the defense, how well they played in the game, and Charles was praising the O-line with how much depth issues and injuries they've had. How rewarding, how refreshing is it for you and the coaches to see them be big contributors and big factors in these wins? Yeah,
so that I think that's a big. It says a lot about those. We got a lot of guys who've gone in and out of that rotation, and I think the gel at O-line we talked about early in the season. when you're 11 months in, finally getting a chance to see guys that are been consistently next to each other, and to see it come out that way. We've ran the football well this season. It just hasn't been all the same guys all the time, let alone have all the same guys practiced all week. They may show up. The one thing you run into in the early stages of a program is sometimes those guys are out there on Saturday, but it doesn't mean they were out there all week because of your depth. Some guys practice maybe on a Tuesday but don't go on a Wednesday, or on a Wednesday because they can't go on a Tuesday, and we fill it in to get to the game. We're at that stage in some places right now, and you guys who've been out there every day, you see it. A lot of black jerseys sometimes, and a lot of guys out there, in mitigated reps. But they did a great job. It says a lot about those guys believing in each other and the scheme coming together. Charles getting more comfortable with those guys, and they threw a lot at us. Now, there was a lot of different defensive looks. They tried everything, and so I'm just proud of the way those guys identified some of that stuff, and we ran the football the way we wanted to.
It's senior night, last game for a lot of these guys' final game playing football at any level. In the grand scheme of things, I know winning a game is important, but what's the message for those seniors that on your team that are not going to play again?
Well, I mean, the best part for me is I remember being in those cleats. When you played, you remember vividly those last few games. And I think I've taken the approach, and we've taken the approach, is as much as it is for me to emphasize that it's senior night for the seniors to lay it all out there. I think the onus, in my opinion, in our approach, started last night. I put the onus back on the team and the rest of the guys. Make sure that you're doing this for these guys who are going out. So I think when you do that, you empower the group to think about them and to take them in consideration, as opposed to highlighting the fact that somebody senior hates the last time and putting the emphasis there. I think you can get a lot out of a family and a group when the rest of the group is tied together to that moment. And so it started last night with the young guys. I made sure the young guys understood that you got to understand these guys are on the tail end of it, and that it's your obligation, it's your responsibility, your accountability to these guys for what they put in to knock it out of the park this week. So,
To follow on that, what has this group of seniors meant to you as a coach? I mean, they didn't do a coaching change, had to buy in. What has this group meant for you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm humbled by this group, because I think that having been around it at every level, as a coordinator, as a player, as a coach, at every different stop, and a whole bunch of changes, and good, bad, or indifferent, there's a lot of humility and understanding what that's like, and I think that's helped me have conversation with these guys and to be able to not just throw them out and then say, hey, you're done. We're not of that mind. We haven't been since. We will never be that way. These are our guys, and we owe it to them to do it the right way. And so their ability to be coached, their ability to identify with what we're doing, and to carry the flag as a group is important. It's important to the program. It's important to them. You got to make it important to them and make it important to everybody else. And I think you do that by really being honest and authentic about this. We're doing this for you. It's not for me, and it's not for us or a new regime. That doesn't work. I'm not into that. I'm here for them. They're here for us, and we're all in this together. So fired up, and we'll do anything for those guys.
On Saturday, obviously you guys got your win, but men's basketball, women's basketball, volleyball all got big wins. What does that mean to have a day like that for this school, and especially as you're trying to build your culture in the program?
That's awesome. I mean, it was incredible. That's kind of that's the pageantry of college sports. I mean, when you can have all the major teams, everybody winning in the program, it's a movement for your program. It's a movement for your sport. It's a movement for your city. It's a movement for the community, the alumni, everything, recruiting in all aspects. I mean, it was awesome, man. Just to run over from our game and run over and watch the men's basketball game and speak with Lindy about how her game went and hear about that and hear about Dawn and volleyball and then watch the men's game. My daughter was at halftime in the cheer. I mean, there wasn't enough coffee in the building, man. We were rolling. It was awesome. So it's great, man. It's what you wanted to see. I think, when we got here and we talked about the sports being part of this city now and the culture and community, and it's a sports city. You like to say it because you believe it's coming. When you see something like that in a night, and then you see last night's game, a Raider game, sold out, packed, and you see those consecutively build up in your city and your program and your community, that says a lot about where things are going with everything around it, and we're all inclusive. So we're all part of it, and that's why I think the expectations in this building are so high. Expectations I have for us, for myself, for this group, and the responsibility I want to have for the city and the alumni and the program is so high. So it was rad. It was awesome. I was fired up. I was waiting. There was no midnight madness, but I don't know if I would have made it, but it was close.
Coach, discuss the psychological lift that you had on Saturday from the return of some of the starters who've been out hurt, guys like Noel Williams, people like that.
Yeah, I mean, to see you guys saw. I mean, Noel's impact back there is you can see it. You know, you can just see the impact he's got, having played a lot, and the guys responding to him. His ability to play in man coverage and play on receivers and do his job says a lot when he gets back out there. You can see that everyone get lifted up. To have guys like that right now, again with where we're at, come back and to get into the mix is really important. It's really good. You can see the psychological piece of our team and get excited when guys come back out there. Even as something as simple as Nahe getting back in the mix at wide receiver and then at freshman. It's just we're so small right now. We're so limited in the depth, and to see those guys who've made plays come back, guys get excited about the depth of it, let alone the impact those guys can have. It's no different than guys get healthy, fully healthy, you know. So Noel's a good example of a guy who comes back and makes an impact right away, you know. And not sometimes just the X's and O's piece is what we're getting at. The psychological, the mental advantage that our team sees when those guys are back out there is big.
Talk a little more about San Diego State.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously playing San Diego State's done a fantastic job. Coach Hoke's done a fantastic job. They had there for a long time. You know, that lineage there in that program is built up. They've done a really nice job since Coach Long left there not too long ago. They're playing their tails off. They've recruited well. They've got a bunch of starters. They play. You can tell they play well together in their system. They're physical. They've finished games because of it. I believe that. They've been in, I think, 5 one-score games, and they've finished all of them. They're the exact opposite of what we've been through. We've been in, I think, 5 or 6 one-score games and have been that close and haven't finished. So it's when you look at that piece of it, the psychology of sport and the kind of the programs and experience, you're like, wow, okay, how about this? You know, this is a really, really experienced group that's been together a long time, and they're finishing these games late. And here we are as a young group, and we're right on that. It's kind of how it unfolds sometimes. And so a really talented football team, but the talent itself isn't just it. They play hard, they play well, they execute, they don't beat themselves, they tackle well, you know, and so they've done a really nice job. They're going to be really, really competitive, and I think that's great. I think it's fantastic for us to get a group like that to come in here and kind of see where we're at, you know, one that's at the top of the conference and see what that looks like.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Chuck, so last week you talked about potentially, you know, getting over 4,000 yards or whatnot. Did Hawaii do anything or say anything to kind of put you in a zone to run angry, be angry Chuck running versus when you're not? Because you're more effective when you're angry when you run.
I just remember last year, you know, the last play of the game, you know, just them talking mess and that feeling like just being 0-6 and that team celebrating, you know, they accomplished something that we didn't want on our record. Like, you know, it was kind of upsetting that we ended the season so bad last year in Hawaii. So just remembering that moment is why I was so mad, because I don't want to have to deal with that, you know, leaving, you know, Allegiant Stadium and everything like that after this week. So I just wanted to get a win right now instead of having to worry about it this week.
Kylan, talk about just the consistency of all 4 quarters on Saturday night and the fight you saw from your guys.
I think it was really, how would I say? It was just amazing to see overall. We've been working for so hard since the spring, and even before that, guys such as Julio, Chuck, that have been here for so long. It felt good to leave with the trophy. I know it means a lot to everyone here, including myself. And we just worked really hard. Coach had emphasized finishing for 4 quarters, and that's just something we've been really working on and pushing to finally do in a game. So I still think our best football is yet to come. We still got 2 more games, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we react for these next 2 games. Send off all the seniors the right way, so I'm looking forward to it.
Why do you think the defense has been able to close out games more effectively as opposed to maybe earlier in the season? Has there been a change or difference, or what is different now?
I think it's just a mixture of everything. I think we're practicing better. I think communication has definitely gotten way better over the last couple games. especially with the back end and the front end. I'd probably just say communication overall has definitely improved through the last couple games, as well as we got a lot of young guys as well that are playing, and being able to get everyone to mesh together. It's just like you're not going to throw everyone together. It takes time, and I think we're starting to see the benefits of it, and I'm just really happy that things are starting to work out for us.
Is there a difference in practice that you personally feel just with 2 wins now?
I just think it's a little bit of a swagger, a little bit of a chip on everyone's shoulder. We want to just prove everyone, all the critics wrong. You know, people, how do I say it? They don't really believe in you until you can go out there and finish for a game. And I think we've all had that belief in ourselves since week 1. And no matter what has been thrown at us, I think we've not flinched, and we've been just ready to take things on head on. So I'm really excited to see what we do this week, especially with a good opponent coming in.
Both of you, it's for both of you, like both of you being seniors. What's this game mean to you?
You know, been in some great games against San Diego State. They always been, you know, pretty good. Always had a balanced like offense and a great defense. And I feel like this year, you know, people can say their offense has been bad, but they've been winning still. And I feel like they're doing enough to win. And to go into this game, we got to do everything right. We got to play our butts off, and we got to execute. And it's the little things that matter. You know, they have a great defense, like I said. They also just do the little things on special teams to help them keep them in the game. They have a great punter, great kick returner, great punt returner. So, like, this game is, you know, we got to throw everything in the hat and give it our all, because it's going to be a fight. It's not going to be easy.
To add on that, I would probably say that this is a great opponent, like we already said. We're looking forward to the challenge. I think it's really going to be a good proving point for us, and especially I'm thinking more of it on the senior end night type of deal. It's everyone's last home game, and just knowing that we got to go all out and just send everyone off the right way. I think that's the most important part, getting out of Allegiant Stadium with another dub, and making sure that everyone continues to feel that great feeling. And even for the younger guys, I think this leads more into momentum into the next and the following seasons and stuff like that, which will lead to a good spring ball and lead to a good fall camp and even into the next season. So I think it's all about building momentum at this point. It's all about just setting the tone.
Charles, Coach Arroyo said that the GPS had you at 22 miles an hour on one of your runs in the last game. You feeling that fast at this point in the year?
I didn't feel that fast because I got caught, honestly. So should have kicked it into another gear. But, you know, that's just Coach Fowle in the winter and the summer, just working out every day and, you know, working on our speed, doing speed school with him, and just working on our technique, working on our running mechanics and stuff like that. And just really every day really did matter, because you get better each day. It's 1% better. That's what we say in the weight room. So I really appreciate him for, like, pushing us and everything. Yeah, like, me, Courtney, and all the other guys that's fast, like, we could just, you know, just do whatever. But if you really put your, like, heart and effort into it, you start getting that, like, that extra gear where you can, like, last in the game, too. That's the main thing. We want to be able to last in these games. Like, we don't want to be on our heels. We want to be, you know, able to keep putting our best foot forward and fighting with our opponent, making them feel like, oh, man, like, these guys won't give up. We want to just keep putting that effort, that keeping our foot on the gas, basically. Just keep, what can I say? Like, just keep, I don't know. I'm lost for words. But anyways, I just shout out to Coach Fowle, and, you know, I won't get caught again. I'll make sure I won't get caught again.
You'll definitely hear about it from other people.
Yeah, I already heard enough.
Charles, you praised the O-line after the win. How important is it that they seem to have two of their best performances, especially going into this week against a team with a really good defense that's really physical?
You know, they just been improving every week. You just see the little details they work on, just getting to the second level, to the linebackers, and then making sure I get to the secondary. You know, Julio's always pushing them guys to get better, watching film, making sure their mechanics and technique is getting, you know, better each week too, because they're very young. Like, some of them don't even get to play high school, and it's just great to see them, like, improve each week, though, because as a team, you want to see your teammates get better, not just yourself, because it's a team sport. And I feel like, they know the task at hand this week. It's going to be physical, but they're ready for it, and Julio's going to get those guys right. And I appreciate them for all the hard work and effort they did.
Kylan, first quarter, you guys were put in some stressful situations on the plus side of the field. 3 turnovers. You guys held them 3 points. What do you attest that to among you?
I think it just comes down to practice and just knowing not to flinch in the face of adversity. I think that was just a really big moment for our guys. I think all year we've done a pretty good job of being in situations where we get the ball not really in the best of situations, or possibly teams going for it on like a 4th and short or something like that to test us. And I think our defense has responded very well this season. And I think last Saturday that definitely was shown. So I think it just comes from just guys having grit, guys just being strong-minded, and just knowing that you got to buckle down, and no matter what happens, whatever situation we're put in, we got to know that we got to just go out there and help out our offense wherever way we can.
You seem to do your best work on 4th down. Does the team get excited when people are going to go out on the 4th?
I think we like to get tested just a little bit. I think it definitely gets the juices flowing, the crowd gets into it, and it's just one of those situations that you live for. It's college football, and there's no better situation than being in a 4th and short or 4th down, and that team's it's your guys against my guys, and I'm going to choose my guys any day of the week. So I think that's the best situation, and it's definitely one that we all get amped up for and are definitely get excited for.
Shit, if you get me excited, man, I'd be jumping. Jumping. I'd be happy for y'all.
Kylan, how does the defense, how do they feed off of Kyle Beaudry and what he's been doing?
Kyle is a prime example of a guy who just comes in and just does the right things, and just he's a great leader by example, and absolutely I'm excited to see what he's going to do this week. He's always been, even since New Mexico, came in there, was balling, doing his thing, and I definitely think the team feeds off Kyle, knowing that as he gets more comfortable, and he's just a prime example of next guy up mentality, and he went in there and he did his thing. And a lot of people feed off that, knowing that their number could be called at any moment, and they could change the impact of the game at a moment's notice, just like how he did. So I think every week people just get more and more excited to see what he's going to do.
Chuck, for you obviously didn't have to come back. You chose to. What has this season meant to you now that you're approaching your final home game here in Vegas?
There's been a lot of ups and downs, but this team has stuck together, stayed united. We could have had a lot of loose ends, but we handled that, before we even got this season started. We said, we're going to stay in here like a family. We're going to lock in, because no matter what happens, we love each other, and we're going to go for each other. We're going to fight for each other every game. And, these coaches have put us in a good position of, helping us off the field and stuff, like, connecting everything. And it's just been real good just seeing us, like, gel together. And you're seeing it. We're playing like a team now. It's not just individuals anymore. So I feel like guys like Kylan coming in and stuff, too, was really great, because additions is, like, what we needed, because we missed out on a lot of people last year because of COVID. A lot of people opt out, and, they didn't feel like we was going to play. And it just felt good to have, some new juice, some new blood up in here, just to introduce them to, like, what we want to rebuild. And like Kylan said earlier, momentum, like, this is what we want to do now, is keep the momentum going, keep it rolling for, next season for these young dudes. We want to put on for these young dudes, and, they trying to send us off right, but we got to do our part too as seniors.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
It's like getting a vaccine shot.